I am so tired. Oops. Okay. We gotta let some people get in here.
Okay.
I gotta tweet out the link again from my Chicken Talk account. Man, my computer's running very slow today. I've been messing around with this uh, AI stuff,
Oh yeah,
and
I've
it's
been using it
yeah.
for some of my clients too.
As a matter of fact, I made to make the description of the video.
Oh, nice.
I gotta get it going since YouTube took away my monetization, which is some bullshit. BS, I mean.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's weird.
because they said I'm using content from other platforms, but it's my content I'm using from Twitter and putting it on here.
Mm,
Like they don't understand it. Carson,
weird.
big fans. Can you see the chat?
Um, Let me go there. I can see. Yeah,
This is the show.
there we go.
You can see it.
Yep. Hi, Carson.
This is the boxing show, but if y'all are interested in the true crime show, then you can go. I'm about to put up the channel. I gotta start uploading. I'm gonna have everything uploaded this week. Uh, let me see. Man, this computer is running slow as heck today. I know I got like 15 million tabs open, but it is called Five Crime.
Hi, J-Ro. He said hi. That's why.
Okay. Oh, what's up, Terry? Okay, here it is. Let me present it so y'all can see it. Let me,
That is the Emily that makes the
I got
D's
too
nuts
much
jokes.
stuff.
That's me. That's what I'm known for. Thank you,
Yes,
Tracy.
yes, and we are going to talk about this is this is the on the ropes where you talk to people in boxing who have been in boxing and work behind the scenes in boxing. So you, if you have any interest in doing it, then you yourself can learn a couple things and get up to date. Yeah, this is a big time guest.
Yeah, big time.
You can get it yourself. And we are also going to start a true crime podcast. Me and Emily. I'll show you the page. That is the page. If y'all want to go and subscribe. 5-minute true crime, and the videos will be up soon. I'm gonna just put the link in the description in the chat. Make sure y'all go hit the subscribe button. Link in the chat, and the videos will be up this week. The videos, I'm sorry, next week. First video, doing 3 videos a week, and the first one will be up next week. So make sure y'all go subscribe to that. Okay, we got some people here now, Emily. Emily, would you like to introduce yourself and tell the people who you are?
Yeah, my name's Emily Pandelakis, and I'm the publicist for Team Benavides. I've worked with the team pretty much since they started, since before Junior went pro, the older brother. I met them back in, I mean, it must have been 12 or 13 years ago now when David was just about 11 years old. And so I worked with them all this time and happy to keep working with them. It's been a really exciting ride, obviously. And I work in other aspects of boxing as well. I do publicity and operational support for promoters large and small. So I'm actually also kind of pulling double duty here because I work with TGB Promotions, helping with their transportation as well. So I've been doing that while I've been here.
Okay. And how many Vegas fights have you worked off the top of your head?
Um, Probably like not a ton, maybe like 5 or 6. You know, Junior fought on the undercard of Pacquiao Marquez 3. I worked with Ray Beltran on.
When you say junior, you have to tell people you're saying. Talk.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jose Benavidez Jr. Um, when he was coming up at Top Rank, and then I worked with Ray Beltran here in Vegas when he fought on the undercard of Pacquiao Bradley 2. And he won a little title there. That was awesome. And, you know, a few different ones with Junior and maybe I've been here with David. I'm not sure. It's kind of all run together over the years.
So you've been worked on 2 Pacquiao cards.
Yeah.
Okay. What is like when you get there? What is fight week like for the big fights like Pacquiao and this fight this weekend?
I mean, you get here and Vegas is such a big place, right? Like you don't know anybody. You know, it's not like when I worked Vegas fights in the smaller casinos, like the Top Rank cards that were in like I can't even think of the name of the casino, but the smaller casinos, you kind of run into everybody you know. Here,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know anybody because it's such a big casino, but it kind of has a sense of community because you see all over the place all of the artwork. So it's really been a trip seeing David all over the MGM Grand. You know, on the big marquee outside of Mandalay when we were pulling in, there was a big, you know, on the marquee he was there with Caleb, and so it's kind of cool. So you know, you have that, and then you know, you get there and you go and you pick up your credentials, and then there's various events throughout fight week. So today we had the media workout. Um, so, and then we also had green screen, which is like where the fighters go and get pictures taken and video taken.
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow we have the press conference, and then we have the weigh-in on Friday, and then fight night on Saturday. So there's something every day, and it's pretty great. I mean, it's just a cool vibe, you know, being in the city and having everybody be excited for these fights. This was my first time going to a media workout inside the casino like that. That was really cool, and there was a lot of people there rooting for, you know, for David, and that was really cool.
For those of you who don't know how close Emily is to David, if you watch the Plant David,
Oh no. Why are you doing this?
if you watch the Showtime, what is it, 24/7? At
The
the beginning of
Showtime
the fight, what is it, Showtime? What did I say,
All Access.
24/7? All Access. I'm sorry. At the beginning with the fight, Emily was the one that that was there. You can kind of see her off to the side a little bit.
Yeah, I try to hide out from the cameras and stuff. I like to be behind the scenes. My son just woke up, so he's going to be blabbing in the background, just so you know.
That's cool. This is a Megatron approved show.
Megatron. Okay, good.
Okay.
Yep. So
like what, like this?
Megatron are here in Vegas.
Okay, so like after David does his media workout, then what's next? Not the next day, but like what, like for the rest of the.
So when they got there, we had to usher him up to like this special room, like a skybox, like to kind of keep him separate from Caleb and have a place to prepare. And then he did the workout, and then he did an interview with Showtime, and then did the media scrum where everybody's in his face, like getting their media interviews and stuff. And then he's probably going to go to the gym tonight to finish losing the last bit of weight. That's what he's working on this week, is just weight before the weigh-in on Friday, and he's ready.
But he's on track to make the weight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's on track. I don't know if you guys were watching the media workout today. He flexed for the camera and stuff, lay on track for making the weight. Wonderful, buddy.
Yeah, I checked it out a little bit. And as far as your job for the rest of the night, well, of course, you got time to talk to us, but your job for the rest of the night.
So tonight, what I'm working on, I have to interview Kurt Scobie. I don't know if he's Scooby. I don't know if you know him. He's a Lou DiBella fighter. I have to interview him for a bio. And I have to work on the show that I'm working in Chicago. I got to do some contracts and stuff for that. So it's really just catching up on other work. And then if Showtime has any clips they want sent around, or they need David for something, obviously I'll reach out and get him on the phone or whatever they need. But I pretty much try to leave him alone during fight week. So after the media workout, I visited with Carson some, and then I came back to my room so I can get all my work done.
Be careful of that Carson guy. I heard he's a bad influence out there in
Yeah, that's what
Vegas.
I heard too. He introduced me to Sean Porter, so that was nice, getting to meet Sean finally after I've seen him around, because he works all the different events that I work too. So
Okay, we had a question. He said, "How easy, difficult was it to get David Benavidez on First Take yesterday?"
I cannot take responsibility for that. Tim Smith from Heyman Sports did that. But it was a big deal, definitely. Like that, it wasn't easy. From what I understand, it was a very special hit, and we were really thankful to have that opportunity. David, towards the end, David did about 40 interviews for this event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did a ton. I mean, I have to tell, really shout him out for having the patience to do. I mean, because you do get asked the same questions a lot, and so he did about 40 interviews, and at the end he was kind of like, "Can we be done with these now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're done now after last Thursday." And I don't mean that in a bad way, because he does enjoy doing it, but it does get to be quite a bit when he's working and making weight and everything else. So,
Mm-hmm.
but this one he was actually super excited to do, obviously, because this is a big deal. So he had a good time.
Yeah. David was one of the first interviews I ever did. I didn't get him this time around, but I know he had a lot. He had a lot. And this thing about him, no matter how big or small, David still, uh, no matter how big or small your platform is, he'll still come on there and do an interview, which is, a great thing.
Yeah, and that's to his credit. That's kind of what I said to him about, a week or two ago, that the tickets were just really moving fast and well, and he was really happy. And I said, David, that's really a testament to the work you're putting in outside the ring, because it is work, and
Mm-hmm.
what we do is we schedule like an hour a week, and then we give 10-minute slots to different outlets. So he has to sit there and do, interview after interview after interview. And we try to keep him to that hour, but there's always like special ones that we have to do here and there. But he really was willing to do, as many interviews as he could. He understands the value in selling the pay-per-view and getting as many eyeballs on him as possible. So
Okay. And Tracy said, "Are you doing a hit show in Chicago coming up?"
I am doing the hit show coming up. I won't be there because I have something medical going on the day before the weigh-in. But yeah, I'll be working on. So for Hits Boxing, I manage the graphics and, getting all the graphics done with the graphic artist. And then I do all the contracts and medicals for them. So it's not just publicity, I do other stuff. So I'm responsible for making sure all the contracts get done and that all the fighters have their medicals in, which is, a small miracle when it happens on time. But, we look at it every time. So that's what I'll be doing tonight, is working on that. So that's on April
Okay.
8th. So it's coming right up. April 9th.
Okay. So um, tell them how you got your start, how you got your original start in boxing.
Um, I was dating a guy that was into boxing, and so I started watching it and started really enjoying it. And then he dragged me to a boxing gym at Central Boxing Gym in Phoenix. Can you be just a little bit more quiet? Sorry. I started working with Jose there. Jose Senior was the manager of the gym, and so his son Junior was, really kind of blowing up at that point. He was like only 14 or 15, but he was already getting quite a bit of media attention and stuff. So I would help him manage those interviews and get the interviews done, and help him put content on YouTube. And at that time, MySpace. We started his Facebook page, and started doing some social media back when that was kind of early on. And then over time, Junior got signed with Stephen Fader, and Stephen had Latif Coyote and Wally Omatoso and Michael Medina, and those are the ones that are coming to mind offhand. And I offered to work for free to help them with their publicity, because I was making connections because of Junior. And so I had the opportunity to, work with writers and this and that. So I would help get interviews for those other guys. And I did that for free. And then started working with Iron Boy Promotions here locally. So it was really just kind of off the muscle, like, learning on the job and making contacts and trying to, learn how to. One of the things I really learned how to do early on was get people's story out of them and parlay it into media coverage. And I've gotten really good at that. So that's kind of been my specialty over the years. And, I did start out working.
Oh, she dropped. She'll be back in one more time. Central Boxing Gym. Is that where Jose was training out of Coda? Coda, you on that? You in Arizona too? I remember you remember when I interviewed David the first time, he talked about he was gonna be in that movie then. Jose Jr. I mean Jose Senior. When I started interviewing him, he was saying that Creed, Junior was gonna be in Creed, but that was a while ago.
Sorry
You know,
about
that's
that. I
show you
dropped
how
off
long.
there.
Oh, no problem. But that show you how long it takes movies to actually come out. Because that was last year sometime.
Yeah.
They
So,
said, Did you help Jose Jr. get into Creed?
no, I had nothing to do with that. I found out after he was already filming. So he was already filming when I found out that he was going to be in the movie, and then they told us to keep it quiet for a little while.
Yeah, I remember that. What is it? You started doing things for free, and
Yeah,
then
and that was something, a lot of people ask me, how do we get into boxing? And, you know, I had to learn on the job. I really hadn't worked. I was a computer nerd for, the 15 years before that. And even actually while I was doing publicity, I had my day job working in software. So in 2014, I was able to leave because I got enough business to do it full time. But even up until the last 2 or 3 years, it still was a struggle, to make enough income. So, I mean, it's not easy, it's not easy to make it in the business if you can't get with a big promoter, which I can't travel a lot because of my family. So it kind
Mhm.
of limits my, options. So I've gotten really lucky to work with the clients that I work with, and that's kind of what I tell people is, it doesn't, a lot of people are like, how do I get into boxing, or how do I get with a big promoter? And you really have to just hustle and make those contacts, and that's the most important thing in the business, is having those contacts.
Like you said, you're while you're in Vegas right now, you're also doing work with TGB with transportation, right?
Yeah, so like that's the other thing, is I've always been willing to wear whatever hats I need to make money and to, stay connected in the business. So one of the
Mhm.
things that I do for TGB for all their shows is I handle their transportation. So I manage the drivers, I find the drivers, I manage them, and make sure everybody gets picked up and dropped off from where they need to go, and all of that. So that's kind of one of the things that I do.
Yeah, that's just some extra income, extra money being
Yeah.
made.
Yep, makes a big difference. And I do some matchmaking and booking as well. So that's actually the worst job in the business, and I do not recommend anybody do that because it's so hard.
The
Um,
matchmaking is funny. The stories, her matchmaking stories is funny. So what does entail matchmaking entail? Oh, you
um,
also who have you matchmade for? Let them know a couple people you matchmade for.
Mostly in Arizona here, and Hits Boxing and a couple of small promoters. I mean, I've done some bookings for the big promoters here and there, but mostly the small promoters that I work with. You have
Well,
to
you
track
have
down.
one pretty big name right now at 140, right? That you did some matchmaking for early in his career.
Yeah, so I worked with Victory Boxing Promotions, who used to be the promoter for Boots and for Brandon Lee, and so I did some matchmaking for their early fights,
I mean, don't
just trying
just
to
don't
find.
breeze past it. You know, Boots is about to blow up, and Brandon Lee also. So she's done
Yeah,
some.
it's not easy. It's you because you have to find an opponent that can stand up and that will give a good fight and that will get your boxer more experience. It's not just I got a guy at 140 and I got another guy at 140. It's like, what is this guy going to bring to the table and help develop this other fighter? And the matchmaking, I have to tell you, it is the most thankful or thankless job in the business. My hat's off to the real matchmakers and the full-time guys. They and girls, they have really the most difficult job, because at the end of the day, if everything goes perfect, you made the matches, the fights were good, the guys showed up, they showed up on weight, they got all their medicals in, they got all the licensing in, and they gave a good fight, the fans were happy, and the promoter was happy, and that's for that to happen 10 times on a card. It's 20 fighters. It's not easy. It's definitely not something that just happens. They just put a lot of work in, and I really like, they have a lot of headaches, and it's a 24-hour day job for them too. So hats off to the matchmakers.
Yes, it is. And you don't, and also you don't want to get the promoter's fighter beat. You know, you want to, like you said, you want the guy to stay on his feet, but you also don't want to get him beat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely part of it, is developing the fighters and giving them fights that they can win. But that aren't necessarily a guaranteed win all the time. So, it is a little bit of an art, and that's obviously part of it too. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Excuse me. Was it hard finding opponents for boots? Like once his
It
name
got
got
it got
around?
harder. Yeah, of course. So one of the big things with Cameron when I worked with Cameron Duncan was, not putting the guys' fights online. A lot of guys want to put their fights on YouTube and stuff, and that makes it a little more difficult to match them because um they can see that they're some of them are killers. Boots is a killer. He's a tough fighter. And then if the money is that's another thing is you're always working within budget constraints as well. So that's obviously a challenge too, especially with the smaller promoters, the club promoters, because they just don't have a big budget for the fights.
Yeah, the guys always ask for more. So when you're involved as a matchmaker, you're responsible for getting the medicals also, right?
Usually the matchmaker has something to do with that. So it really depends on the size of the promoter. And I always say working for a small promotion is kind of hard compared to a big promotion because you have to wear a lot more hats. You have to do a lot more. So the big promoters like TGB has, the matchmaker, and then they've got somebody that handles the medicals, and they've got somebody that handles, dealing with the fighters during fight week. Whereas small promoters, the matchmaker does all of these different things. A lot of times they handle the medicals, they handle all these other things too.
Yeah, because some of the stories that you told me about the medical with guys, like give them a good story about guys and their medicals. No names, but.
About medicals. I mean, getting guys to get their medicals done can be a challenge. I think my best matchmaking story, I don't know if it's necessarily with medicals, but we matched a guy and he was suspended because he had in his last fight, he had signed a contract to fight and then entered the day of the fight a pizza eating contest. And and so he couldn't fight, and then they ended up suspending him because if you got a guy that signs a contract and then pulls out of the fight and it's not a legitimate reason like an injury or something, you can have them suspended, so that they have to make up a fight for you and pay you for their plane ticket or whatever before they fight again. So that was probably the best story where we didn't get a guy to fight because of pizza eating contest. I don't know what you're thinking, entering a pizza eating contest the day of the fight. But.
All right, I got this a couple questions here.
Okay.
Mike said, "Does Emily matchmake for Udi Gang TV? He boxing in Arizona."
Yeah. So his name's Elijah Smith, and unfortunately, he's at a weight, and this is something with matchmaking as well. That's the smaller the weight, the harder it is to find somebody, and he's like a 118, I think, or 122. So he was supposed to make his pro debut on Del Sol Boxing's last two shows. I'm not the matchmaker for Del Sol, so I don't really have anything to do with that. But we could not find him an opponent those last two shows. So hopefully he'll be making his debut on July 1st at the next Del Sol show. Nice kid, really funny. He's the guy, Lefty. I know. I think we these videos circulated on Twitter where
the one that's chicken.
Yeah, the guy with the chicken, exactly.
If y'all see the video, y'all, and he's dude always being with that big groove dude too.
Yeah, the dancing guy.
But he's from Detroit, actually. Yeti Gang is from Detroit.
Oh, is he? Yeah, he lives here in Phoenix now.
That's the only reason I haven't really won. That's the only reason I'm kind of supporting him. He got hands too, man. You got to see let me see if I put it up on Twitter. But
we had a little trouble getting him licensed, where the commission didn't want to license him. They didn't feel he was ready, but he's ready. I can't wait for him to make his debut because he's a fun fighter to watch.
He can fight.
Yeah.
All right. If I get a pull up, I'll show you. Another question is, did you? Well, she said she's not working with. So, how do I find local events?
How do you find local events? I mean, honestly,
you go on your commission website. Where you at? AM Sports Media. You in Atlanta? If you go on your commission website, the commission calendar of any state that have all the fights listed.
Yeah, that's the best. That's the best way to go about it.
Yeah. Coach Amber says, "Can you ask if she has ever second guessed herself as a matchmaker?"
Yes, there was a fight. I really don't want to say who it was with, but I put him in. I didn't think I put him in tough. and it ended up being a really tough fight, and his dad was really upset. So that kind of made me feel bad because it was just way tougher than they were expecting and than I was expecting. He did win the fight, but yeah, that would be the one time. I mean, and then we've had fights that I made prior Junior versus Mike Menez, and where the decision was controversial, and I got yelled at by the manager of the guy that lost and stuff like that. But you know, it happens.
All right, let me show y'all. This is. Can you hear that, Emily?
I can't hear anything.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna share the screen so y'all can see who Yeti Gang is. Like
I just saw
said,
Coda
he
Kid
from
asked if
Detroit,
I had
so
a hand in the Del Sol card past weekend, and I did. Yeah,
absolutely.
I work real closely with Del Sol. I do all the publicity and just a lot of other stuff behind the scenes for the show. Like, I deal with all the bartenders, and one fight I was cutting the limes. So just in case you think this is glamorous work, it's I was cutting the limes for the night's fights. Um, and do a lot of other stuff for Del
Mhm.
Sol, so I work real closely with them.
Yeah. All right, y'all. This is Yeti Gang who he was talking about. I know y'all seen this dude before doing his little skits.
Yeah, he's cool. A nice kid. Somebody asked if I've noticed if promoters' budgets have been reduced. I haven't noticed that as much as I've noticed
Yeah.
the cost of opponents has gone up. Like since COVID, people are expecting a lot more money to fight. So before you would be able to do a 4-round fight for $1,000 or $1,200, and it's very difficult to get somebody at that rate at this point.
Yeah. Now, have you noticed that the small hall shows there's not as many small hall shows as there used to be, local promoters?
Um, I don't know. In Arizona, it's been really thriving. We've had quite a few new promoters on the scene. Del Sol's kind of new, 2 years old or a year old, I guess. Um, since COVID, it took people a while to get back. Certainly, like Iron Boy locally took a while to get back, but they're back, doing
Uh-huh.
the same number of shows they were doing before. So, I don't think so. I think there's still a ton of small hall shows going on.
Okay. Another thing is besides the small hall shows, like I know Boxer Gray has said he's seen a drop in small hall shows being put on the on BoxRec, whatever. But Emily also does MMA too. She does them both, MMA and
Yeah, I
BoxRec.
haven't done MMA for several years. I only did MMA when I was working with Iron Boy because they happened to do MMA, but I certainly didn't do any matchmaking for them. I just, I just helped with, the publicity and operations of the event, but I haven't worked with MMA for quite a while, thankfully. I really prefer boxing.
Emily is also responsible for the ring girls.
I am responsible for the ring girls, so I make sure that they're there and that they're dressed and that they're taken care of. We have some in Del Sol, we have some really awesome ring girls who I adore.
Okay.
Everybody loves them.
All right. Tracy wants to know, I have found it hard to be taken seriously as a woman trying to work in boxing. Have you ever run into that problem in the beginning?
Um, yeah, I mean, certainly there's a little bit of that. Like, I'll give you a very recent example today. Uh, at the media workout, this is my first event working with a fighter that's headlining the pay-per-view. So, Andrew from Swanson Communications, can you stop that, please? Andrew from Swanson said, they were doing the media scrum, which is where the fighter sits there and all the media is like right there in his face doing their interviews. And he's like, okay, go ahead and yell out 2 more questions. So I'm like, okay, 2 more questions. I don't think anybody heard me or listened to me. um, and then it was like, okay, tell them it's over. And I'm like, hey, that's it, everybody. And everybody just kept asking questions. And part of it's because I'm short, I'm 5'1", and I'm in the back, like trying to get my face in everybody's face. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like being a woman's kind of opened some doors for me. And I think at the upper echelons, most of the people behind the scenes that are really running things are women. Like at TGB, you have Brittany Goosen, who runs everything, and she's just really incredible. And so I think I've been lucky. I've actually met some really amazing women working in boxing, and so I wouldn't say it's hindered anything. You get the occasional like people on Twitter, that'll talk shit to you and say, you're a groupie or you're this or that, or you're sleeping with the fighters. That's another one. And I'm like, whatever, like, what are you going to say? You're like, okay, whatever. I mean, that's not really what I say, but I don't want to say what I say.
I think David is married, right, Emily?
David is, I don't know if they're actually married, but he has a girlfriend, a long-term partner.
He has a long-time girlfriend, and
Yeah.
he wants to know why did you duck them at the Chocolatito fight?
Who asked that? Oh, why I ducked? Oh, because I didn't know that fight was going to happen when I rented a hotel room that was non-refundable in Cave Creek, Arizona, because or in Carefree, they have like a festival every Christmas. And so I had already booked the hotel room. It was non-refundable. So we went ahead with my family. I went ahead and did that. And then that event ended up getting canceled because it rained. So I was a little disappointed to miss that.
Okay. Coach Amber, you said David Stein. Can we get Instagram handles as Women Appreciation Month? David Stein. Do you know who David Stein is, Emily?
No.
David Stein. David Stein. She said it's Women's History Month.
Michael Andrade asked if Michael Carbajal comes by the gym, and I don't work in a gym, so I don't work at Central anymore. I just did help Jose when he was there years ago. But I talk to Michael pretty regularly and his wife Laura, so they support our events in Phoenix and stuff too.
And you also manage the boxer that you manage.
I manage Andy Vences, who's El Tiburon. He's coming off a no contest in a fight that, we felt that was a little bit shifty there because the guy ducked his head down while Andy threw an overhand right and hit him in the back of the head. And they called it an accidental, illegal blow. And they called it a no contest, which was just a huge bummer because the guy laid on the ground after he got hit and then didn't really react until the ref pointed to the back of his head, and then the guy grabs the back of his head and starts writhing on the ground, and I was like, this isn't the Oscars, relax.
Yeah.
So that was a huge bummer. He comes back in July or June. He comes back.
Who he's on a local card, top ranked card? What is he on?
He's going to be on a local card in San Francisco with Westside Promotions on June 24th.
Now, as a manager, what essentially, we know the job of the manager is to get the fighter a fight,
Yeah.
But as a manager, how do you, when the negotiations come about, how do you handle that?
Well, I mean, it really just depends on the goal. So the goal with Andy, he was coming off a couple losses that, were controversial losses nonetheless. So our goal with him is to get him a couple fights to come back, get a couple wins, and then we'll go and pursue a big fight again, but the right big fight for him. So really it's just a matter of finding the right fight and then negotiating the right deal. And so, this fight coming up in June is going to be another tune-up fight. Hoping, to get a tough opponent, so he's ready whenever he does step on a larger stage. So he's definitely not looking for an easy touch, but, looking for somebody experienced. And that's what we got in this last fight. We really thought this guy was going to stand up, but he ended up quitting. He didn't want to come back in and fight. So we're hoping in June to get a better opponent that's going to actually want to fight. And then, I've been talking to some people here, while I've been here about getting him a bigger fight after the fact. So it's really just about having connections and leveraging those connections as well as you can.
Yeah, that is a great thing. That was a great thing. Are you still working with Boots team?
No. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So it was just those couple fights. What do you? Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish.
No, I worked with him when he was with Chris and Cameron, and then they separated, and so I don't know Cameron. I think Boots is still working with Cameron, so, and I don't work with him anymore. So.
Yeah, he's still working with Cameron, as far as I know. He's the next big thing. What else do we have in here?
My Instagram is Emily Boxing.
Okay, that's still your Instagram?
Yeah, Emily Boxing.
Sure. I don't know if she was asking for yours. I don't have it. Well, I don't be on Instagram, so I don't really do it. What weight is her current? What weight is Andy?
He fights at 130. So I think we
He
took
fights at
this last fight at like 132, but 130 is his weight.
okay. I want this present. So what's going on for the rest of the week with you and David at like what does the rest of your week look like
So
before the
tomorrow
big
we have the press conference. So that'll be shoot, I did it again. Are you guys still there?
yeah
Okay. Accidentally exited out before and then it turned it off.
yeah kid
Yeah,
Dynamite yeah.
because I was gonna look
Well,
up
no,
when the
no,
press
no. I'm
conference
sorry.
is.
Hold on. Wait one second. Somebody said, "Are you David's manager?" No, she's his publicist and works with his
Yeah, I'm
team.
just his publicist. I'm nobody. I'm the team janitor. Just kidding. I'm just his
Keep saying she
publicist. So
nobody, but she's been with David since he was a kid, and look at
yeah,
how
I
big
actually
he's
get to
become.
tell the story that I sparred David when I was training, except for he wasn't allowed to hit me back. So it kind of worked out for me that I just got to hit him. And Jose got mad because he was like, honestly, he was like 11 or 12, and my son is a year younger than him. And he was chubby, like everybody knows that when he was young, he was really big. And I would hit him, and I just kept hitting him, and his dad kept saying, harder. Like, what are you doing? You're holding back. I'm like, yeah, I'm holding back. He's a kid.
Uh
So
huh.
I get to tell everybody that I got to spar David, even though it wasn't really legit sparring. I don't think I'd want to spar him now, to be honest with you.
So all of that promotion and the interviews you see David in and the articles and all that she's part of that team where she gets him to do all that type of stuff.
Yeah. So the rest of this week we have the press conference tomorrow, and then the
Oh yeah,
weigh-in on Friday.
somebody earlier said tell David to push Caleb at the press conference.
Yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't get to that. I'm sure they're gonna have extra security to make sure that doesn't happen because this is a pretty emotional fight for these guys. So
Yeah. What is this beef stem from between David and Caleb and
what David says is it's just kind of like when you walk into high school or whatever, and you walk into school and you see the kid that you don't like you just see a kid that you really, I'm gonna fight that guy. He said it's kind of like that. Like they've been in the same division, and it's just that's who he's been wanting to fight all this time. And then they just started, kind of nipping at each other, and it's just escalated from there. So now there's a lot of actual bad blood, and David has never trained harder for a fight than he has for this one. So he's really ready to
I believe
to
it.
beat him.
And for those that are just joining us, this is our new we're doing a true crime podcast together. 5-minute true crime with me and Emily. Videos will be uploaded next week, 3 videos a week. And we're going to be doing lives where we interview people involved in true crimes. We're trying to get it together. Me and Emily are big true crime fans. So this is just something we're going to do in our spare time. So if y'all want to go to that channel and click click the subscribe button. I'm going to put it right here in the chat also.
Yeah.
Also this Friday on the betting show, I have special guests, former IBF champion, former 168-pound IBF champion, former Caleb Plant opponent, Caleb Traw. So he would be this Friday on the betting show, the betting prediction show. And that starts at, I think he said, I think it's 4:00 Eastern time is when we're going to do it. It's going to be like 30 minutes. So make sure that y'all tune in on the dot at 4:00 Eastern time. I'm going to put a make sure that I keep promoting that to make sure you get that together. Okay, now the rest of this week. Now, what do you have to deal with people bothering you, like people that know you? Yeah, Caleb
Yeah.
Truaw. I don't know how to say that. You already know how I'm bad with names, man. Caleb Truaw, yeah, former IBF champion at 168 and former Caleb Plant opponent. If I see a name, I pronounce it the way I see it. Go ahead, Emily.
I forgot the question. What was the question? Oh,
I
what
said,
people ask me. Yeah, I get a lot of requests, from friends and people I've met through boxing for stuff. So I had a guy message me today and ask me, and I sometimes share them with my group chat. I gotta be honest, because it's just funny. Like I don't know how to respond because like a guy asked me today, can you get me a glove signed by David and Caleb? And I'm like, where am I gonna get a glove? And how am I gonna get Caleb to sign it? And how am I gonna like find time? Because I don't want to bother David during fight week with anything. Really, I don't want to ask him for anything. He's obviously very sweet, and will do anything I ask, I'm sure, but I just try not to bug him. So I put a picture of the magazine from the hotel room, which David is on the cover, and I had a couple people ask me for, oh, can I have that? Can you send it to me? And so I had to like track down the housekeeping cart and grab some off of there so I can send them out to people. I try to remember to do that stuff. Because I know like it means a lot to people. So I always try to, whenever I can, I try to accommodate people's requests, but it's kind of hard. When it gets to this level, there's a lot more. So the entourage is huge now. Jose was saying,
like you said, you don't want to bother him during fight week. This
yeah, he's making weight. Like I kind of avoid him, honestly. I avoid any fighter during fight week because they're making weight and they don't want to hear from me. So
yeah, they're hungry. You see Boxer Girl comment?
Yeah. Let me make him a triangle sandwich. That's funny.
Yeah. Okay. You got anything else you want to share with us, Emily? Anybody got any more questions about getting into the boxing business? If you want to work behind the scenes, manager, publicist, matchmaker, transportationist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the message. You got to really hustle. You got to work. You got to just be willing to do what it takes. And I have a family to support. To help support. So I have to make sure that whatever I'm doing is making money at this point. So I'm willing to do anything. And I think that's kind of done a service. It's been in my best interest to do that because I've gotten opportunities to work events that I might not otherwise get to work. So I'm really grateful, and that is one thing. I thank you, Lefty, and thanks to everybody that is supporting me and supporting the boxers that I work with, because there's a lot of people who, are just very encouraging. And getting into a business like this, my family hasn't always been my immediate family, like my boyfriend Lewis and my son. Everybody's very supportive, but like my parents and stuff over the years have been like, "What are you doing? Get a real job," And so I'm really grateful to have people support and encouragement because it's really made a big difference.
Yeah. I got a fan of the feed too, so if you see my name right there, Lefty Cash App. Since Twitter took down my monetization, I can't be monetized no more on Twitter for like 30 days.
You gotta send cash apps to Lefty for coffee.
I got all
Somebody
these
asked if
matter of fact, I'm releasing some merchandise this weekend. Finally.
Somebody asked if I have my MySpace too. I don't have my MySpace anymore. I wish I did because I had a lot of pictures on there I would have liked to have, but I don't know how to get to it anymore. And somebody asked earlier if I work with Danny Barrios Flores, and I do work with him. Oh. He's kind of one of the fighters with Del Sol, and so we got him a really nice interview package with the local TV station this last fight, and we've gotten some stuff in the Arizona Republic with him, and so he's really a pleasure to work with. He's got an interesting story where he was kind of mixed up with some bad kids and got into, he ended up going to jail and getting in trouble, but he's like super on the straight and narrow, and he has a son now, and he's really focused. So he hopefully will be somebody you see on TV pretty soon.
Yeah. Now, Coda asks, how busy is this fight week compared to David's other fight weeks?
Honestly, with the last fight he did in Phoenix, we did so much because he was working on selling out. Like, he really understands that he has to do these things to help promote the event. So the last fight week, it wasn't actually fight week, or was it the week before? I think fight week we did. Yeah, we did a meet and greet that had like hundreds of people come, and he sat there and signed autographs for like 3.5 hours until the last person left, which was really nice of him to do. And then we did a Suns watch party because the Suns were in the playoffs, and then we did Camp with the Champ, where we had a little workout and run with him, and so people could come out and run around the track with him and do a little workout and stuff. So that was really fun. So he's,
that was cool. I like that idea a lot. That Camp with the Champ.
Yeah, that was fun.
More fighters need to start doing that.
Everybody got pictures with him, and it was a really like nice way to connect with the community. So that was cool. That was something Jose Seniors wanted to do for a while, so it kind of worked out that we did it. And so that show was really busy because we did all those extra activities to try to promote the event, there in Phoenix. This one is it's just at a different level, like he hasn't had to do a ton this week. We've been really trying to keep things to a minimum this week. He did first take on Tuesday, and then, of course, the media workout today, and then press conference tomorrow and weigh in, and that's really all he's responsible for doing this week.
That weigh-in is gonna be off the chain. I can already tell. You know, there's some people talking about no buzz for this fight, but man, every data piece I'm looking at shows that this fight is like on the radar, like big time on the radar. It was a lot of people there. My surprise for the media workout today. That's usually, you know.
Yeah, it was pretty crowded. It got, it wasn't terribly crowded when it started out, but by the time David was there was a ton of people there, and it was really cool at the end. He got off he finished the media scrum, and then we were taking him over to talk with the Porter Way, the podcast. Sorry about my son. And he stopped because some people wanted photos and stuff that were along the edge of the
That was
media
just
workout.
Carson. It was just Carson. You should have told him.
It was Carson. And then this little kid was there, and David took his hat off and put it on the kid before he was pulled away. So that was really sweet. And everybody started cheering. It was kind of cool.
Sequit wants to know, have you ever taken yourself and a fighter to an international fight? Would you want to? Regis Progress was with some PR woman who did an amazing job taking him to some London gyms and community centers.
I would love to do that. I haven't done it. I mean, aside from Mexico, we went down to Mexico with Junior one time, Benavides Junior. And he didn't end up fighting, and we went to Ensenada and partied a little bit and had a good time. But no, I would love to do that. I'd love to travel, and I would love to go to London or wherever for a big card. I would love to go to England for a card in general, because they've it looks like a really good time. They got some really intense fans, and I think that'd be fun. So yeah, absolutely, I'd like to do that. I haven't got to do it yet.
Okay. All right, Michael wants to know, do any of your kids box? If not, would you let them?
No, none of my kids have any interest in boxing, mostly because they worked for me. Like all three of my older kids. I have a 25-year-old or 24-year-old, 19-year-old, and a 16-year-old, and they've all worked for me at events, during their teenage years. Even my younger one, Sophia, she was like 9 or 10, and she was running my credential table and telling guys, no, you can't bring that extra person in the dressing room. Nope, you can't do it. She was really tough on them. Nicola, the little one, I think he would like to. He thinks he can box, but he had that birth defect when he was born, where his liver and guts were on the outside. So I don't think he's going to be able to box. Although we've talked about getting him into training just for, just for fitness and for, yeah, exactly. But it's, training and not being able to fight is kind of a bummer. But we'll see. We'll see what the doctors say, because he's got the energy and he's got the interest in it. He's probably the most interested out of all the kids. He likes to watch it and enjoys it.
All right, Emily, thanks for joining us. Do you have anything you want to plug, promote?
No, I mean, just, get the pay-per-view on Saturday or come to the fight. And just thank you, Lefty, for talking with me, and thanks to everybody for your questions.
You see what Michael wrote?
Yeah, Brainwave child. I seriously, I have a picture of my daughter Sophia when we did a fight. Who was it? I think it was Ray Beltran in Phoenix when he fought at the arena, and my daughter's like crashed out because I had her working the whole time. They work as runners for me, and I give them a few bucks, and my younger daughter was the most interested in helping. The other two kind of retired early.
All right. Also, we need your pick for this weekend.
My pick for this weekend, I think David's going to win by knockout.
What round? Y'all don't know. I'm gonna have to get Emily on a betting show. She's a matchmaker, so I'm gonna have to get her on a betting show one weekend.
Yeah, I don't know, because every time I bet, like, I lose. So I don't know if I'm the person, but yeah, I think he'll knock him out by the 9th round.
Okay. All right, there you have it, guys. So bet 9th round knockout, or between 7 and 9, and you should get it. Emily, thank you so much for joining us today. And don't y'all forget to check out our true 5-minute true crime podcast. If you love true crime like Emily and I do, we're going to get this started. And it's nothing about boxing, but it's going to be
we're going to be doing some deep dives into some good cases. So we've been saving them up.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Emily. Thanks everybody for joining. And y'all have a good one. Remember, Friday, the betting show, 4 p.m. Eastern time.
All right.